I can't recall where I read this, but on some Tales forum, I read that the very first Tales game you complete will always be your favorite, something I firmly believe that holds true. Hey everyone, Darren here and welcome back to the fourth part of the Tales of Retrospective, and today's video is about a very special game, Tales Symphonia for the Nintendo GameCube. Tales Symphonia is the fourth game to receive a Western release, and it released in 2004. Thanks to a big marketing push from Nintendo, it has now been known as the most financially successful Tales game to have a Western release. Tales Symphonia is a very special game. Tales Symphonia is the first Tales game I ever played and serves as my gateway game to the world of Japanese role-playing games. So please keep in mind that I'm reviewing one of my favorite games of all time, so I will do my best to keep from going full fanboy and I'll do what I can to give this game a fair review. With that all said, let's get started. Tales Symphonia takes place within the same world as Tales of Fantasia. In fact, the events that occur in Symphonia predate Fantasia by 1,000 years. This connection between the two games is important, as until Xillia, they were the only two Tales games to be directly connected. So aside from the world setting, they share many similarities in terms of theming and storytelling, as well as character development. Tales Symphonia has a pretty good plot, with an excellent cast of characters, some that still remain as some of my favorite characters being a video game. We have our hero Lloyd Irving, his childhood friends, and other companions he meets along his journey on his mission to save the world. The story is by no means original or all that different from previous Tales games, but it is well executed. What really drives the narrative, and the game for that matter, are the characters. Each character progresses and develops. By the end of the story, many of them are changed people. Because of this growth, you really become invested in these characters. And I also need to mention this game has voice acting. Not like Tales of Eternia and Fantasia, where it's mainly battle quips and short phrases, Tales Symphonia is the first Western Tales game to be fully voiced, and luckily almost all the voice actors do an excellent job and help cement these characters as likable and believable. Notable performances like Damian Clark as Kratos and Scott Menville as Lloyd are some of the standouts here. As I said before, the plot involving these characters is rather enjoyable, but there are times when things get a little long-winded and convoluted. Also, the few animations that each character performs during these cutscenes can be tiresome to see repeated over and over again, but that's only nitpicking. Overall, this story has a few great twists and turns, and many dark and unsettling moments that help solidify Tales Symphonia's story as being one of the more memorable and enjoyable plots a Tales game has featured, but ultimately it's going to be the characters and their interactions with one another that really make this game's narrative feel truly special and unique. Speaking of character interaction, player can freely dictate Lloyd's relationship with his fellow party members during unique conversations that occur at specific locations and events throughout the game. Players can choose which female party member Lloyd will end up with, and determine his levels of friendship with his bros in the party. There's actually one specific relationship that actually changes the ending of the game. But enough about the story, let's move on to the joy and fun behind this game, the gameplay. Tales Symphonia is the first 3D Tales title. Towns, dungeons, and the entire world are now fully polygonal and 3D rendered. Although battles feature 3D character models and arenas, they're basically 2.5D, as characters can only move back and forth. Tales Symphonia's battle system is essentially a revamped version of Eternia's that has been made even faster and easier to control. Nearly every gameplay system from Eternia Returns has been improved upon, from battles to side quests to character progression, and even cooking. However, there is one thing that has suffered from this translation to 3D, the camera. The camera issues only occur when playing with more than one player. You see, the camera only follows player 1, leaving other players to fight off screen, making it quite difficult to appreciate what's going on at times. However, this is by no means a deal breaker, and it's pretty easy to adapt to by simply changing targets. This problem is entirely resolved in the PlayStation 2 port, but more on that later. Also, I should mention that channeling earrings are no longer required for your friends to play. Your friends can simply join the fun by plugging in a GameCube controller and changing their selected character to manual control. And I'm happy to report that the battles are no longer random, as enemies can now be seen roaming dungeons and fields, essentially allowing players to pick and choose their battles. Alright, let's talk about some audio. As I've previously mentioned, overall voice acting is great, with some excellent performances and with no one particular character having a bad or annoying voice. Music is also excellent, once again being composed by Namco composers Motoi Sakuraba and Shinji Tatsuma. Honestly, am I ever going to review a Tales game where I won't have to butcher their names? Anyway, music is great in this game, featuring some awesome original pieces and some excellent remixes of some of Tales of Phantasia's best music. Overall, audio is excellent. I honestly can't think of anything wrong with it. So, Tales of Symphonia has an enjoyable story, great characters, good voice acting, excellent music, and has an incredibly addictive and fun battle system. Aside from my complaints with the camera, I haven't been very critical. Maybe I'm being blinded by nostalgia here a little. Although my inner fanboy wants me to say this is one of the best games ever and everyone should buy it, I can't do that. I kinda have to take the nostalgia glasses off here for a moment. Not everything is perfect in Symphonia. There are an abundance of skits and conversations that don't feature any voice acting, which seems rather lazy and shallow. Also, at times, there are some story scenes that don't translate as well as they should. As well, there are some dungeons near the end of the game that feel really rushed and poorly designed. It's almost like their only purpose was to increase your playtime. The back of the box did say 80 hours, which isn't accurate, as it will probably take most around 40 to 50 hours in their first playthrough. Tales of Symphonia does have some issues. It isn't perfect and may not even be the best Tales game released, but damn it, I love this game and it still and will always be my personal favorite in the series. I really enjoy the story, the characters, and I love this game's battle system. As of this review, I've completed the game nearly half a dozen times, and I'll be damned if I don't beat it 5 or 6 more times. One of the reasons Tales of Symphonia is so replayable is that it introduced the Grade Shop, which serves as a new game plus of sorts. Grade is earned after battles like Gald and Experience. When starting a new game on a completed file, players have the option of spending the grade they've accumulated over the course of their adventure. They can purchase upgrades such as retaining their skills and battle techniques, or even all their Gald, to even earning boosted experience. In the end, I can confidently recommend this game to anyone new or familiar with either the Tales series or Japanese role-playing games. Tales of Symphonia is easy to track down these days. Prices on eBay for the GameCube version float around 30 to 40 bucks. There's also a PlayStation 2 port of the game which features a couple of improvements and additional content, but it does have some lag issues. This port is unfortunately Japanese exclusive, and it usually goes for around 30 bucks online. There have also been rumors floating around of an HD remaster for Tales of Symphonia, which would be rather cool to see. It'd be for the PlayStation 3 and feature its sequel, Dawn of the New World. But, as of now, it's only a rumor. Hopefully this is true. Well guys, I think that's all I really have to say about Tales of Symphonia. It's really worth playing. So thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next part of the retrospective, in which I'll be looking at the black sheep of the Tales series. Till next time.